Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
The San Diego City Council today voted to ban landlords from using algorithms to set rents. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amitha Sharma in for Maya Trabulsi. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says the ban comes amid multiple lawsuits challenging the practice.
Something deeply unfair is happening in our housing market.
Councilmember Sean Ela Rivera put forward the proposal, which bans the use of algorithms that take private data from landlords to recommend rental prices. The U.S. Department of Justice and several states have sued companies that offer such software, arguing it facilitates collusion among landlords to fix rents in violation of antitrust laws.
San Diegans could be paying up to $185 more per month. That's over $2,200 per year because of algorithmic price fixing. And it's happening in a city where people are already struggling just to stay housed. That's not a free market. That's not innovation. It is digital collusion, and it needs to be stopped.
Several renters spoke in favor of the ordinance, saying they live in fear of rent increases that could push them out on the streets. Representatives of landlords spoke against it, saying it was vague and would hurt the development of new housing.
A local approach is ill-suited for this nuanced and technically complex issue. As mentioned, there are numerous proposals in the state legislature, including SB 52. More work is needed to define what constitutes algorithmic pricing software.
The city of Berkeley passed a similar ordinance that's being challenged in court. Ela Rivera said San Diego's ordinance is narrower than Berkeley's, which he said would help it withstand any potential legal challenges from landlords. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
A new bill making its way through the California legislature could change the way hospitals handle medical bills. KPBS health reporter Heidi DeMarco spoke with health advocates who say the law could make it easier for patients to avoid medical debt.
Imagine getting out of the hospital after a health scare, only to be hit with a bill you can't afford. Now, you're not just recovering, you're in debt. That's the reality for 1 in 10 San Diegans.
We found that across 2022 and 2023, we estimate that San Diego adults collectively owed more than $654 million in medical debt.
Celine Betancourt works with the California Pan-Ethnic Health Network, a health equity group backing Assembly Bill 1312.
We know that patients can't be healthy when they're trapped in unaffordable medical debt. And families have to choose between paying their hospital bills or putting food on the table today.
If passed, the law would require hospitals to pre-screen patients for financial help before they're discharged, especially those who meet specific criteria, such as being uninsured or enrolled in Medi-Cal. Betancourt says under current law, patients are often left to navigate complex paperwork after receiving care.
This can be really difficult when you're just trying to recover from an incident in the hospital or you're trying to help a loved one recover. And so we want to remove these administrative barriers.
Research shows medical debt can lead to collections, ruined credit, and skipped doctor visits.
Only 29% of patients who are eligible for financial assistance at the hospital actually receive it.
Eli Rushbanks works with the nonprofit $4. He helps patients apply for that assistance. It's something he says hospitals should already be doing.
What seems like it should be a relatively straightforward process, usually a grueling multi-month engagement.
Communities of color are more likely to struggle with medical debt. County data shows around 11% of residents hold medical debt, compared to less than 8% of white residents.
A lot of our outreach and communication strategy are focused on reaching those communities.
Por eso quiero hablarte de $4. Es una organización sin fines de lucro que ayuda a las personas a solicitar asistencia financiera hospitalaria totalmente gratis.
We're in a healthcare affordability crisis. More and more people are falling into debt. It is getting harder and harder to receive the care that you need, even if you do have insurance.
The California Hospital Association opposes the bill. They declined to be interviewed for this story. In an email, they told KPBS they are working with the bill's author to address concerns. AB 1312 is set for a hearing later this month. Heidi DeMarco, KPBS News.
Well, happy Tuesday, everyone. As we head throughout the next couple of days, I will be tracking partly cloudy and, for the most part, mild weather for the forecast this week. But there will be our next chance of rain here as we head into Friday is what we're going to be watching out for. But after that, the good news is your Saturday and Sunday both look pretty nice, pretty good. I'll detail that updated forecast coming up.
President Trump is threatening to tax Harvard University as a political entity after the institution rejected the administration's policy change demands, resulting in the freezing of $2.2 billion in federal funding. Our Washington correspondent, Julia Benbrook, is at the White House with the latest.
This move comes after the Trump administration announced investigations into universities across the country, citing concerns of anti-Semitism or racial preferences, and threatened to halt billions of dollars in funding for universities that don't follow the administration's demands. Among the mandates in the administration's letter to Harvard were the elimination of the university's diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, banning masks at campus protests, reforming the admissions process, and reducing the power held by faculty and administrators. Harvard informed the administration that it will not accept the proposed agreement. And in a statement, the university's president said, quote, "No government, regardless of which party is in power, should dictate what private universities can teach, whom they can admit and hire, and which areas of study and inquiry they can pursue." In response, the administration froze $2.2 billion in federal funding for the university, and President Donald Trump later took to social media, writing in part, "Perhaps Harvard should lose its tax-exempt status and be taxed as a political entity." Harvard's decision appears to be the first time an elite university has pushed back against those demands from the administration, and comes as other universities grapple with how to respond. Reporting at the White House, I'm Julia Benbrook.
Federal immigration policies are having an impact on tax filing. Multiple tax offices told our media partner, KGTV, many of their longtime clients are hesitant to file. This could mean a huge loss in tax revenue this year. According to the California Budget and Policy Center, undocumented immigrants in California paid nearly $8.5 billion in state and local taxes. This after the IRS agreed to turn sensitive information over to the Department of Homeland Security. Lupita G. Fernandez and Associates and San Ysidro say the drop in clients is due to fear of deportation.
It's been tough on all of us, honestly, because we don't want to see our clients, get deported, especially when we know they're doing the right thing. But at the same time, it's like we are professionals, and we have to tell them what the rule is and what the law requires.
The office is helping clients get an extension on filing. She noted the extension is only for documents, not necessarily the money they owe. The Trump administration's roller coaster tariffs have brought volatility that wiped out trillions in wealth. Tariffs are especially tough on small business owners, and that describes almost all businesses in San Diego. I spoke to Jessica Anderson, interim president and CEO at the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce, about the local impact of the White House tariff policy. Jessica, 93% of San Diego County businesses have 12 or fewer employees. What have the tariffs and the threat of more done to these businesses when it comes to planning, orders, and pricing?
You know, it's the uncertainty that has the biggest impact on our small business community in the San Diego region. The San Diego Regional Chamber, we're the largest chamber on the West Coast. We have over 2,000 members, the majority of whom are small businesses. And these tariffs are really a decision between life and death if you're a small business. Think about if you have a lease coming up to extend your business for another year. If you don't have any certainty on what pricing for your products are going to look like, you're not going to be able to extend that lease. So we're really talking about major decisions to our economy and particularly the trickle-down effect on our small business community.
The Trump administration has paused some tariffs. However, the tariffs against China have increased. China, in fact, has turned around and is retaliating against the United States with its own tariffs. It is targeting American companies, including 4 in San Diego, Cubic Corp, Source Intelligence, Kratos Defense, Firestorm Labs. Describe the effect of this trade war on these local defense companies.
Oh, it's massive. I mean, this has the potential to be truly devastating for our economy as a whole. We're concerned about the auto industry as well. You know, it's the 90-day pause is certainly encouraging, but again, it's following the bouncing ball and that ping pong effect of what's going to come tomorrow. So we're not just concerned about the tariffs on China, we're concerned about tariffs as a whole, whether it's the auto industry, the construction industry. This will all have a very direct impact on the cost of living for your average San Diegans.
I want to get to that, but before I do, talk to me about what kind of guidance you're offering San Diego businesses.
It's very hard to offer any guidance at this point. It's very hard to offer guidance in this era of uncertainty. So what we're focused on is advocacy. We're focused on making sure the Trump administration is hearing directly from our San Diego business community about the direct impacts of these tariffs on our binational economy.
So the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce just returned from its annual trip to D.C. What did you tell the Trump administration about these tariffs?
We told the Trump administration that this has the potential for a huge economic downturn. A recession is potentially coming. We spoke on behalf of our members who are saying they're considering closing, they're considering not buying new products, they're considering significantly tapering down, and most importantly, you know, we have a relationship with Mexico where we're not just trading together, we're producing together. So this is not a tax on Mexican companies. This is a tax on U.S. businesses and on U.S. companies directly.
And what did the administration say?
We've had very positive conversations. They said that they want to hear data, they want to hear the direct stories of companies, and so that's what we're focused on providing. We are here and stand willing to work with the new administration. This is not, we're not in attack mode. We're in trying to get our message across. That's why we saw advocacy in action with our face-to-face meetings with leaders at our nation's capital just last week.
Consumers are expected to spend up to $4,000 a year more because of these tariffs. They will be spending more on food, wine, cars, the iPhone. So they are pulling back some of that spending. What do you know about how businesses might be preparing for the next round of tariffs after the 90-day pause?
Again, they're considering shutting their doors. That's what's so scary here. And in fact, for your average U.S. household, I've heard upwards of $7,600 in terms of an impact in their household spending every single year. And we know that San Diegans are already grappling with the cost of living, with the cost of housing, the cost of groceries, frankly. This impacts everything. This is a tax on U.S. households.
Jessica Anderson, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thank you.
Public Matters is a partnership with KPBS, iNewsSource, and Voice of San Diego. You can see more of our stories at kpbs.org/publicmatters. Shopping for your clothes at your favorite boutique could become a bit more expensive due to new tariffs. University of San Diego economics professor Alan Jin says the clothing industry is going to be one of the hardest hit.
Yale Budget Lab estimates that textile prices are going to go up 44%. So that's the material then that's used then to make the clothes. people are going to have to spend more money on other products too, things like food, and so that might mean they have less money to spend on things like clothing.
A La Mesa business owner told our media partner KGTV she is already beginning to see the impacts. Unique Boutique on Nebo Drive has survived the La Mesa riots and pandemic closures. She says typically customers can find a 20% off sticker posted on many items in the store, but that may soon change.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep the prices at that minimal, raise them, but still keep them at a valuable, shoppable price. I'll probably do maybe once a month instead of every other week, twice a week or twice a month. It just all depends. And again, it depends on the foot traffic.
Purchase says she will continue to work to keep prices reasonable for customers. Pickleball is growing in popularity and is outgrowing the capacity of existing courts. Imperial Beach is planning to fix that. iNews Source intern Teal Davis explains.
Sports Park in Imperial Beach already has basketball, baseball, and a playground. Now it may soon get outdoor pickleball. The new courts will meet a growing demand from residents who play the sport. Council members voiced their support for the new courts at a recent meeting.
It's incredible how this type of sport has brought us, the ability to not just recreate in a safe way for all ages, but also socialize.
Pickleball is the nation's fastest growing sport. For many players, it offers a combination of the competitive appeal of other team sports, while its low-impact nature makes it accessible for players of all ages and skill levels. Due to the growing popularity, community members in Imperial Beach say they struggle to find open courts.
We have a really hard time for residents in this community finding locations to play. Even if we go to Coronado, it's really full.
The new courts could cost the city up to $1 million due to a need to remove a walkway at the park, lay pavement for the courts, and create sound dampening fences. Now that Sports Park has been recommended for the development, construction plans will be drawn up for the project. For KPBS, I'm iNews Source intern Teal Davis.
iNews Source is an independently funded nonprofit partner of KPBS. Social media apps can allow people to stay connected to friends. They can also cause harm if used too frequently. Mandy Gaither has more on what parents can do to keep kids safe.
Social media has become a significant part of life for many. 77% of high schoolers reported frequent daily social media use in a 2023 national survey by the CDC. But experts say using these apps too much can be harmful to children and teens.
It can affect their mental health, but it can also affect their safety.
Tracy Hurley is with the Child Protection Team at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. She says most experts recommend waiting until a child is in 8th grade before allowing social media. But since everyone develops differently, she says to answer the following questions.
Are they mature enough? Are they responsible with their belongings? Can they take care of the other belongings that they have in the home? And can they follow the other types of rules that you already have set in place at home or at school?
Hurley says if the answer is no to any of these, you may want to wait. She says it's also important for the parent to be ready for a child to have social media. Once your child has these apps, she says parents play a big role in safety. Monitor your child's interactions online. There are apps that can help you do that. Keep communication open about their online experiences. Set clear rules and limits for social media use. And finally, be prepared for difficult conversations around things they've seen or done online.
There's wonderful resources out there that can have questions that you might not think of to ask kids specifically about their internet usage and what they do online.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A video of elephants at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park during yesterday's earthquake has gone viral. KPBS reporter Katie Anastas brings us an explanation from mammal curator Mindy Albright.
Elephants are very in tune to their environment, and picking up environmental cues allows them to make decisions. And they sensed something was off and potentially dangerous. And so immediately they ran together and formed what we call an alert circle. And Micaiah, the youngest, was in the center of that circle. So this is a defense mechanism that elephant herds do to protect the family unit. Ndula and Mgani are 35 years old. And then there's Kosi, she's 18. And then you have the two youngsters, Zuli and Micaiah, who are 7. Elephants also have the ability to feel sound through their feet. And so, they're connected to the earth, they're feeling the sound from the earthquake, they're listening, their ears are out. Zuli at one point puts his trunk up and he's smelling the air to see if, can I smell where the danger is coming from? Kosi keeps turning her body and touching Zuli with her trunk to just kind of check on him. And what's interesting too is he's outside of the circle and not necessarily in the middle of the 2 adult females like Micaiah is. And Micaiah and him are only a month apart, but as a young male, he will eventually age and grow older and move out of the family unit, where the females stay with their family unit their whole life. For people who live in San Diego, how many people have family members outside of San Diego? And the first thing that they do is they reach out to you and say, are you okay? Is everything okay? And that's sort of what you see the elephants doing in that moment.
As we head into tonight, I'll be tracking some low clouds near the coast. Overnight lows will be mild in the mid-50s here for the San Diego metro. But across the rest of the region, we will see some cooler conditions here for some areas. Overnight lows primarily will be a mix of 40s and 50s, down to 51 tonight for both Oceanside and Camp Pendleton. So future track radar showing that as we head into the overnight hours by 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, there's some of that cloud coverage trying to work its way onshore here during the overnight hours. That cloud coverage will be sticking around during that morning drive time. There's a snapshot at 9 a.m. But then after that, right around midday, 12 o'clock noon, we'll start to see some of that cloud coverage slowly starting to go away, but we will also be watching out for some rain, some heavy rain and storms up to the north, even some mountain snow there just to the east of Fresno. But overall, lots of sunshine here for your Wednesday afternoon. And then as we head into the evening hours after sunset, we'll start to see more and more of that cloud coverage trying to work its way back into the forecast. And then as we head into Thursday, watching out for more of that rain and some of those storms. Those will primarily be well off to the north and to the east. So overall here for your Wednesday, we're going to see mild conditions here across Southern California. There's some of that mountain snow we're going to be tracking here as we head throughout the next couple of days. For tomorrow, partly to mostly cloudy skies. We'll see a little bit more cloud coverage than what we have been seeing, with afternoon temperatures in the mid-60s. Pretty mild for this time of year. And then as we head into Thursday, that's when our next chance of rain returns to the forecast here along the I-5 corridor south of Los Angeles down through San Diego. So for the coastal forecast, cloudy skies here for Wednesday and Thursday. The rain chances really start to peak there Thursday into Friday, and then we'll clear out as we head into the weekend. For the inland forecast, the best chance of rain will be on Thursday and Friday. Highs in the 60s before we rebound into the 70s for the weekend. Mountain forecast still tracking that rainfall there on Friday, but overall across the board, the weekend still looks good. And for the desert, still tracking some of that rain on Friday.
San Diego's library budget was more than $70 million in 2022, and access for our rural communities was still challenging. Now imagine serving your community without that money. KPBS video journalist Matthew Bowler introduces us to a group doing just that in Rosarito Beach in Baja California, Mexico.
Two little boys sit reading on a park bench, engrossed in their new books. Mom sits close.
Les gustan normalmente los que son de sagas, por ejemplo, Hombre Perro, que son varios libros. Están los tipos malos, Nate the Great, y también Capitán Calzoncillos.
That's Gabi Pulido, a mother of 2 sons who love to read. She brings her boys to the bookmobile whenever she can. Pulido loves to see her children grow through reading.
Y con los libros, sí, los libros, en el caso de ellos, les ha permitido mucho su creatividad.
In a vacant lot behind a grocery store in Rosarito, Mexico, this bookmobile aims to reach community members with little or no access to public libraries.
Unfortunately, because there's so many other priorities, the libraries are left at the bottom of the budget.
Carmen Dominguez is president of the Rosarito Beach Friends of the Library. She says they are a small, determined group fighting to bring books to their neighbors.
We're scrappy. We are we stand up and in front of all the challenges, and believe me, we've had some, and we constantly have some.
Mexico has been standing up to many challenges, literacy being one. According to the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO, Mexico has increased literacy rates to over 95%. For some perspective, the National Literacy Institute out of Houston says adults in the United States have a literacy rate close to 80%. Los Amigos de la Biblioteca de Playas de Rosarito, or Friends of the Rosarito Beach Library, has only one old bookmobile. They keep it at the Centro Estatal de las Artes de Playas de Rosarito, or CEART. Every 2 weeks, volunteers drive it out to a neighborhood in need. And they set up to loan out books, read books, and serve their community. These days, they are worried about their old Biblioteca Móvil. Friends of the Library Rosarito have been around since 2006, and now they need to fundraise to replace their little blue bus. But new bookmobile or not, this scrappy group will keep serving their community. Matthew Bowler, KPBS News.
If you would like to donate or buy some books, go to friendsofthelibrary.com.mx. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you for joining us. I'm Amitha Sharma. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.